January of '09, I had to go have a tooth pulled. That's what happens when you get old. It was a third tooth to be pulled by a Dr. Jeffrey Buttram on Keystone and 98th, a oral surgeon. I'm sitting in the dental chair, and he says, open big, and I open big. And he takes a shot of Novocaine, gives me a shot of Novocaine in the area where the tooth is to be pulled. And he says, I'll be back in a couple of minutes when it takes. And I said, Dr. Buttram, and I'm not kidding, I mean this, what have you learned in life that will make this experience a positive for me, not a negative? Because I believe the true test of someone in life is not somebody who can make an asset into a bigger asset. It's someone who can make a liability into an asset, something that's bad into something good, and I mean that. And he looked at me, he said, you gotta be kidding. And I said, I'm not kidding. And he stands back like this with his arms folded. He says, all right, give me a minute, let me think about that question. He's got his two hygienists on each side. He's thinking, and about 2 minutes later, he says, Steve, what I've learned in life, and maybe this will make this a positive for you, not a negative, is lean into the pain, don't run from it. And I'm not talking about the tooth, I'm talking about life. That's the reason Celadon has in fact become a much better company because of the last 14 months, 15 months. And we used the pain that the world was going through, basically facing it, doing better, making the company better. We had 785 non-driver employees in the company running the 3,000 trucks. We cut that to 690. We cut by 12%. We improved our miles per gallon by 4.5%. We had 27 salespeople of the 785. 90% were gatherers, 10% were hunters. But because there were so many good salespeople available, because they were being fired by other trucking companies, we replaced 25 of the 27. And now we have 100% hunters. The reality is we became a better company because we leaned into the pain and didn't run from it. In 1976, I was 36 years old, I became president of a company called Seatrain Lines. It was a New York Stock Exchange company in the container ship and tanker business. And when I joined the company, the company was questionable future, and I joined it because I got a lot of stock options and the chance to make a lot of money. By 1978, 2.5 years later, I was Chief Executive of the Year in America. There's actually a plaque right over there in that Financial World magazine, Chief Executive of the Year, and I thought I was brilliant. The stock gone from $2 to $15. The reality is, prime rate went up in 1979 and beginning of '80. Prime rate, it was the last year of the Carter administration, prime rate went from 7% to 21%. We had a lot of debt at Seatrain, and basically that debt, because of the interest rate explosion, put the company on the verge of bankruptcy. The stock dropped to $1 from $15. The money I had made evaporated. Every time I hear Kenny Rogers sing, you gotta know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk, know when to run, don't count your money when you're sitting at the table, I screwed that up. But what I really screwed up was allow the company to get over-leveraged, too much debt. Celadon, in December of '08, we owed the banks $33 million. December of '09, we owed the banks nothing, and we now owe the banks nothing. The reality is I learned never to be over-leveraged, never to risk too much.